Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Osama bin Laden was born on March 10th, 1957. For some time, it was not clear where he was born. Now, most people agree he was born in the capital city of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. His father was Muhammad bin Awad bin Laden. He started a construction company called the Saudi Bin Laden Group. This company became very successful and rich. It worked for the royal family of Saudi Arabia. Osama's mother was Hamida al-Attas. She came from Syria. She was Muhammad's 10th wife. She married him in 1956. Osama was their only child. He came from a rich family because his father was a millionaire. His childhood was full of comfort. Osama went to a good school in Jeddah. In 1971, he went to Oxford University in Britain. He took a course there to learn English. His father, Muhammad, died in 1967. He was killed in a plane crash in Saudi Arabia. In 1976, when he was 19, Osama went to King Abdulaziz University in Jeddah. He studied economics and business there. But he also became very interested in religion, poetry, and Arab stories. He did not need to worry about money. He inherited a lot from his father, about $70 million. Osama was married when he was 17 years old. His first wife was Naja Ghanem, a Syrian woman. She was also his cousin on his mother's side. He would have many wives and more than 20 children in his life. 2. A fighter in Afghanistan. Bin Laden's ideas about Islam grew stronger after his studies. He believed that Muslims everywhere should unite to defend their faith. This meant reducing Western influence in the Middle East. He was deeply affected by the writings of Sayyid Qutb, an important Islamic scholar. Qutb taught that Islamic jihad, or struggle against evil, was right. He also believed all Muslim countries should follow strict Islamic law. Qutb saw Western nations, like the United States, as lacking spiritual values. The political world changed much in the late 1970s. In Iran, the Shah was removed, and a new Islamic state began. In Afghanistan, a socialist government took control in 1978. This government had ties to the Soviet Union. As groups in Afghanistan fought against this new rule, the Soviet Union invaded. In December 1979, thousands of Soviet tanks and soldiers entered Afghanistan. They quickly occupied the main cities. After finishing his university studies, bin Laden quickly traveled to Pakistan in 1979. Pakistan was a place where many Muslim fighters gathered. There, he met Abdullah Azzam, a Palestinian jihadist who became his mentor. Azzam encouraged bin Laden to join the fight. Bin Laden became part of the Mujahideen, who were Muslim fighters against the Soviet invaders. The word Mujahideen means holy warriors. In the early 1980s, bin Laden began to use his large inherited fortune. He used his money to help the Mujahideen. He recruited new fighters, trained them, and bought them supplies. This helped many men who wanted to fight the Soviets. While the United States and Saudi Arabia also sent billions of dollars to the anti-Soviet forces, bin Laden's own money was important for his group. He even had some limited contact with American special forces. The war in the mountains of Afghanistan was very brutal. The Soviet army had 80,000 troops and much stronger weapons. They could hold the big cities, but the Mujahideen controlled the areas outside the cities. The Hindu Kush mountains were perfect for guerrilla warfare. The fighting was bloody. The Soviets used heavy bombing and destroyed many villages to find the fighters. By the mid-1980s, 4 million people were displaced from their homes. Hundreds of thousands became refugees in Pakistan and Iran. The war caused at least 500,000 deaths. Bin Laden moved between Pakistan and the mountains of Afghanistan. He helped supply goods and brought more fighters from Saudi Arabia to join the war against the Soviets. He became an important leader during this hard time. 3. The start of al-Qaeda. After joining the fight in Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden helped start an organization called Maktab al-Khidamat. This was in 1984. Its main goal was to collect money for the war against the Soviet Union. They raised funds from Muslim countries and also from Western nations. This money was used to buy weapons and to train the Mujahideen fighters. Bin Laden and his group established a training base in eastern Afghanistan, known as Al-Masa, or the Lion's Den. Here, hundreds of fighters were trained. Bin Laden's skills as a leader grew. He gained a lot of respect after a battle known as the Battle of Jaji in 1987. This fight helped make him well known among the Mujahideen and across the Arab world. The war in Afghanistan began to end in the late 1980s. The Soviet Union started taking its troops out of the country in 1989. By 1992, the Soviet-backed government in Afghanistan had fallen. With the war ending, there were different ideas about what Maktab al-Khidmat should do next. Some members wanted it to stay a moderate group. But bin Laden and Abdullah Azzam had a different view. They wanted to create a bigger, more extreme organization. Their goal was to remove all non-Muslim powers from Muslim lands. This disagreement led to a major change. In 1988, bin Laden and Azzam formed a new, more radical group. They named it al-Qaeda, which means the base or the foundation. From the start, al-Qaeda had clear goals. They wanted to wage a global holy war, called jihad, against non-Muslims. They especially aimed to end American influence in the Middle East and to destroy the State of Israel. Al-Qaeda also sought to establish a very strict form of Islamic law, based on the Quran, across all Muslim countries. 4. A new enemy. Osama bin Laden returned to Saudi Arabia in 1989 after the war in Afghanistan. Many people saw him as a hero for fighting the Soviets. He started to work with his family's company, the Saudi Bin Laden Group. However, problems soon grew between bin Laden and the Saudi government. Bin Laden wanted a stronger fight against non-Muslims, but Saudi Arabia was an ally of America. They disagreed about many things. For example, bin Laden wanted Saudi Arabia to join the South Yemen civil war, but the king did not agree. Then a big event happened in August 1990. Saddam Hussein, the leader of Iraq, invaded Kuwait. Kuwait is a small, oil-rich country next to Saudi Arabia. This attack angered many nations. The United States decided to lead a group of countries to stop Iraq. American soldiers began to arrive in Saudi Arabia. They used Saudi Arabia as a place to prepare for the Gulf War, which started in 1991. Bin Laden became very angry about this. He did not want non-Muslim American troops in Saudi Arabia. This country is home to Islam's holiest places, Mecca and Medina. He spoke to the Saudi ruler, King Fahd, and asked him to send the American soldiers away. Bin Laden even offered his own fighters to defend Saudi Arabia, but the king refused. Bin Laden then began to speak badly about the Saudi royal family in public. He said they were letting Western infidels into the Holy Land. He tried to get religious leaders to condemn the American presence, but they did not support him. Because of this, the Saudi government told bin Laden to leave the country in 1991. He was forced to leave Saudi Arabia. After leaving, bin Laden moved to Sudan in 1992. Sudan was led by Omar al-Bashir, who had taken power earlier. Bashir's government used strict Islamic law, which made Sudan a good place for bin Laden. In Sudan, he continued his work with al-Qaeda. He built new training camps for his followers near the capital city, Khartoum. He also lived in a large, secure house there. The United States government started to watch his activities very closely while he was in Sudan, seeing the country as a supporter of terrorism. 5. The Plan for America. Bin Laden was forced to leave Sudan in 1996. He returned to Afghanistan, where the Taliban group had recently gained control. Under the protection of the Taliban government, bin Laden could continue his activities. In August 1996, he officially declared war against the United States. He stated that America had soldiers in Saudi Arabia, which he saw as an occupation of Holy Land. He also criticized the United States for supporting Israel. Before this, al-Qaeda had already carried out some attacks. In 1993, a truck bomb exploded at the World Trade Center in New York City. This attack did not cause the damage bin Laden hoped for, but it showed his goal. Al-Qaeda was also linked to other bombings, like one at a hotel in Yemen in 1992, and a massacre in Luxor, Egypt in 1997. These acts showed a growing threat from the group. The attacks became much worse in 1998. On August 7, 1998, bombs exploded at the United States embassies in Kenya and Tanzania at almost the same time. These complex attacks killed 213 people in Nairobi, Kenya, and 85 people in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Thousands more were hurt. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, quickly added bin Laden to its list of 10 most wanted individuals. After these large attacks, Bin Laden then decided to plan a much bigger attack directly on American soil. He gave approval for a plan that involved hijacking several passenger airplanes. The goal was to fly these planes into famous buildings in the United States as suicide attacks. The main targets were the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. The Pentagon, a defense building in Virginia, was another target. There were also plans for a fourth plane to crash into the United States Capitol building in Washington, D.C. By 2000, 19 people had been chosen for the mission. They trained in Afghanistan and then moved to different parts of America to prepare. The date for these attacks was set for September 11, 2001. 6. The day of the attack. The plan for the attack was now ready. 19 men were chosen by al-Qaeda for the mission. These men formed groups in U.S. states like Arizona, Florida, and California. Their main targets were the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. The Pentagon in Virginia was also a target. It is also believed a fourth plane was meant for the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Osama bin Laden set the date as September 11, 2001. Some think this was for the emergency number 911. However, bin Laden likely chose this date for a historical reason. In 1683, a battle stopped Muslim expansion in Europe. Bin Laden wanted these attacks to show a new turning point for Islam. On that morning, the 19 hijackers began their plan. 4 commercial airplanes were hijacked. American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175 took off from Boston. American Airlines Flight 77 left Virginia. United Airlines Flight 93 departed from New Jersey. Once airborne, hijackers took control. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower. Around 30 minutes later, American Airlines Flight 77 struck the Pentagon in Virginia. The fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, did not hit its target. Brave passengers fought back, and the plane crashed into a field in Pennsylvania, saving lives on the ground. The Twin Towers suffered immense damage. Thousands were inside. The South Tower, hit second, collapsed first at 9:59 a.m. The North Tower fell 29 minutes later. In New York, 2,606 people died in the towers and on the ground. 147 passengers and crew died on the 2 planes. At the Pentagon, 125 people died on the ground, plus 59 on the plane. All 40 people on Flight 93 also lost their lives. The September 11, 2001 attacks were the most deadly terrorist attacks in world history. News and images spread quickly. The psychological impact was huge, changing feelings about safety and security forever. 7. Hiding from the world. After the September 11th attacks, Osama bin Laden first said he was not responsible. But over time, evidence grew. In 2004, a video came out where he clearly said he planned the attacks. More admissions followed in 2006, and videos showed him talking with some of the hijackers before the attacks. He said his reason for targeting the Twin Towers was revenge for buildings destroyed in Beirut in 1982. The United States, led by President George W. Bush, quickly responded. Because the Taliban government in Afghanistan had protected bin Laden and al-Qaeda since 1996, the U.S. saw them as a target. In October 2001, American and British forces began bombing targets in Afghanistan. U.S. ground troops soon entered the country. The war quickly pushed out the Taliban from major cities. However, bin Laden was not caught. He was believed to be hiding in the Tora Bora cave complex in Afghanistan's mountains. There was a battle there, but bin Laden escaped. He crossed the border into Pakistan. He became the most wanted man globally. The U.S. offered a $25 million reward for information leading to his capture or death. This reward grew to $50 million by 2007. For many years, bin Laden hid in Pakistan. He and other al-Qaeda members stayed mostly in the mountainous region of Waziristan. While Pakistan did not officially approve of his presence, some powerful people in the country's government and security services quietly allowed him to stay. During these years, al-Qaeda continued to plan attacks. After 9/11, attacking the U.S. became harder due to new security. But new targets appeared in the Middle East. In 2003, the U.S. and Britain invaded Iraq. Al-Qaeda became involved in the fighting there, trying to cause problems between different Muslim groups. They carried out bombings, like the one at the Al-Askari Shrine in 2006. Later, bin Laden moved to a specially built compound in Abbottabad, a city in northern Pakistan. Construction of this large, secure house began in 2002 and finished in 2005. It had tall, concrete walls with barbed wire and few windows, clearly made for secrecy. Bin Laden likely lived there from 2006 with some of his family and followers. 8. The final day. U.S. intelligence found Osama bin Laden's hiding place by following a trusted messenger. This man, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, led them to a large house in Abbottabad, Pakistan. For many months in 2010, a special U.S. team watched this compound carefully. They used advanced tools to observe everyone who went in and out. Even with all this, they never got a clear picture of bin Laden, but they became very sure he was living there. On May 1, 2011, U.S. President Barack Obama made a big decision. He authorized a secret mission named Operation Neptune Spear. Later that night, 2 helicopters carrying U.S. Navy SEALs flew from Afghanistan. They crossed the border into Pakistan. In the early hours of May 2nd, the helicopters landed inside the compound walls. One helicopter had a problem and crashed, but none of the soldiers were hurt. A short gunfight started right after they landed. The U.S. Navy SEALs went into the main building. They found and shot some of bin Laden's followers, including one of his adult sons. They went upstairs and found Osama bin Laden on the third floor. The soldiers had orders to kill him, not to capture him alive. He was shot and died there. His body was quickly taken away by the SEALs. A decision was made to bury him at sea. This was done to prevent his grave from becoming a shrine or a special place for other Islamic fundamentalists and terrorists. Within 24 hours of his death, his body was disposed of in the ocean, following Islamic tradition. Later, President Obama spoke to the world and announced that Osama bin Laden was dead. Sadly, bin Laden's death did not end the threat of terrorism. Instead, new and even more extreme groups appeared. One of these groups was the Islamic State of Iraq, which later became widely known as ISIS. These new groups often used more brutal methods than al-Qaeda. Bin Laden's actions had changed the world in a big way. He left behind a legacy of intense violence and fear, causing many global conflicts and suffering for years to come. What do you think was the biggest change in the world after Osama bin Laden's death?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.